Hello and welcome to the relationships section of the National 5 video tutorials. Today we're going to look at trigonometric equations. Okay, so here's a trig equation. First thing what we're going to do is we're going to solve this trig equation. Then later on we're going to have a look at this thing here which is called the cast diagram. Right, so to solve a trig equation we need to make sine x the subject of the equation. So first of all what we're going to do is we are going to add on 1 on both sides. So we get 4 sine x is equal to 3. We're then going to divide by 4 on both sides so that we get that sine x is equal to 3/4. And then to undo sine, we need to do the inverse sine. So we're going to do x is equal to inverse sine to the minus 1 of 3/4, or 3 divided by 4. That gives us an answer of x is equal to 48.59 degrees. Okay, so what that is, that represents sine in the first quadrant of our cast diagram. 48.59 is going to be our answer for this section of the cast diagram. But we got a positive answer for sine, and there are two places where you can get a positive answer for sine. There's the all section and there's also the sine section. In the sine section what you do is you take your answer and you do 180 subtract that answer. That's how you get your second answer for sine. So our answer is 48.59 and it's also 180 take away 48.59, which is equal to 131.41. There are two other situations that you might fall into here. If you have got a tan, function and you've got a positive answer, then you are going to do 180 plus on your x. And if you've got a cos trig function, you are going to do 360 minus your x to get that second answer. So those are your four different options. You've got x, which is always included if you've got a positive number for your trig function, which we do. We've got 3/4. If you've got sine, it's 180 minus x. If you've got tan, it's 180 plus x. And if you've got cos, it's 360 minus x for your second answer. Here's one more example with tan. So again, we're going to create tan x as our subject of our equation. So we're going to add 4 and add 4 onto either side of our equal sign here. We get that 5 tan x is equal to 7. Then we're going to divide by 5 on both sides. And we get tan x is equal to 7/5. If tan x is equal to 7/5, then x is equal to inverse tan to the minus 1 of 7 divided by 5, which is equal to 54.46 degrees. Okay, so we have our first quadrant answer. That's our x. The second answer we need is for the tan quadrant, because we've got a tan function and our function is positive. We've got 7/5 positive. So what we're going to do is 180 plus on the answer we just got. So tan x can equal 54.46 and it could also equal 180 plus 54.46, which is equal to x is equal to 234.46 degrees. Okay, so that's our two solutions for this one. Using the cast diagram, we've used the 180 plus x and the x in the first quadrant. Remember, if you're using sine, it is 180 minus x, and if you're using cos, it's 360 minus x. Okay, so this time we've got an example that's a little bit different, and what we're going to do is, again, we're going to create cos x as the subject of our equation. We're going to find out our angle, but we're going to see why this is a little bit different in just a second. So, first of all, we want to create cos x as the subject of our equation, so take 4 away from both sides of the equal sign. We get that 7 cos x is equal to negative 3. And then divide through by 7 on both sides, and we get that cos x is equal to negative 3 over 7. Now, we've got a negative value for our cos x. That means that our angles are not going to reside in the normal places. Normally, if we're doing a cos question, we'd get our answers from the all quadrant and the cos quadrant. But because we have got a negative value, we need to get our answers from the other two quadrants, the sine quadrant and the tan quadrant. So we are going to do 180 minus x and 180 plus x for our two answers. Okay, so if we find our inverse cos, what we're going to do in the calculator, and I'm going to put this as an aside because this doesn't want to be part of our answer, we're going to be saying that the inverse cos of 3 divided by 7 is equal to 64.62 degrees. However, that's not our final answer. Our final answer is that x is equal to 180 take away 64.62. And x is equal to 180 plus 64.62. Oops, running out of space there. Okay, so our final answers are x is equal to 115.38 and x is equal to 244.62 degrees. Those are our two answers. Because we've got a negative cos value, we have to use the answers from the sine quadrant and the tan quadrant, the two places where cos is negative. Okay, so now that you've seen some examples, I'd like you to have a go at a few yourself. The ones on the right hand side all have positive answers for their trig functions, so you're going to use the positive quadrants for your answers. The 4 on the right hand side have negative values for their trig functions, so you need to use the negative quadrants for those trig functions. Okay, pause the video now and I'll reveal the answers in just a few seconds. So for each question you should have two solutions. For the first one you should have 53.13 degrees and 306.87 degrees. For number 2 you should have 14.48 degrees and 165.52 degrees. For number 3 you should have 50.19 degrees and 230.19 degrees. And for number 4 you should have 48.19 degrees and 311.81 degrees. For number 1 on the right hand side, you should have 199.47 degrees and 340.53 degrees. For number 2, you should have 159.44 degrees and 339.44 degrees. For number 3, you should have 156.44 degrees and 213.56 degrees. And for the final one, you should have 119.74 degrees and 299.74 degrees. Okay. If you'd like to have a go at some exam style questions for this topic, here are your links here. And remember, they can all be downloaded for free from the SQA website. Keep studying hard, and thank you for watching the video.